Anthony, your first season officiating in the Championship, how have you found it so far?
Yeah, different, more intense. Like I said, the game is played much faster at this level. I think that there's a big focus around referees being able to anticipate play. Teams within the Championship, the picture can change very, very quickly. So it's being proactive as opposed to reactive in that sense. Around that comes an element of game intelligence and very much around the DNA that they want us to focus on within the select group, not just select group 2, but select group 1 as well, is obviously being able to, create angles, dynamic movement. It's tailoring that communication style and knowing when players want to talk, when they don't want to talk, and when it will ultimately add value, should we say.
Your promotion to Select Group 2 obviously allows you to dedicate more time to your officiating now. Can you talk us through the opportunities and perhaps even some challenges this has presented?
Yeah, I think in terms of opportunities, I always considered myself to train regularly anyways, even before it became, a full-time occupation. However, obviously, we do have more support than what was available, okay? Obviously, in terms of the sports science team, the training programs that they give us, they are laid out for us week by week, exactly what they want us to do, when they want us to do it. So that's a big positive. In terms of obviously heart rate monitors, in terms of GPS, they monitor a lot of metrics now, and that can be beneficial to us in terms of those marginal gains. Probably the big element is the level of analysis that we go into now in terms of studying our games post-match. But I think now is that we're really getting into the detail, and thus being able to make subtle changes that ultimately have a beneficial impact upon performance. So that's probably the big, not challenge element, but obviously it requires dedicated time, and that means you've got to find that time in order to be able to ensure that you are, maximising your potential as an official.
And your first season officiating in a new season comes at the same time as a renewed focus on participant behaviour in the game.
Yeah.
How have the new measures altered your officiating experience?
In all honesty, I don't think it's altered my experience, all that much. I think it's probably difficult for me to say because of the fact of I've come from one level onto a level above, so I can't give a like-for-like comparison. I would generally like to think that from a player's perspective, I didn't get a huge amount of, should we say, I'm not going to say abuse, but, I never consider myself one to really get an awful lot of that anyways. But from my point of view, I think coming into the select group, the big thing is in terms of how they've wanted us to be very strong and very clinical with that level of behaviour, just to ensure that obviously we paint a much more positive image of the game. So I think for me, it's not come as a surprise because a lot of the players, they know when they've overstepped the mark, and I think we've set the expectation. And as a result, now it's down to us to make sure that we meet that expectation and don't fall back to potentially where we were prior to this increased focus, because we owe it to the game and the stakeholders to ensure that we follow that through strongly. I think on the whole, it's one of those things that they've set clear expectations of what the PGMO wants on behalf of the stakeholders, and it's down to us as referees to deliver that.